Hi guys, you're alright, it's Sleepbox here. I recently just got top 4, third place at the EU Remote Duel YCS. I was playing Invoked, Dogmatica, Phoenix Enforcer. Just doing a deck profile for JY's channel. Yep, so I'll get straight into the deck profile and then I'll tell you about my matchups afterwards. So hand traps, I played 12 hand traps plus another 2 going second cards. In the main deck, which was 3 Ash and 3 Nib and 3 Imperm. I'm pretty sure this is fairly standard in every Invoke deck, especially seeing as Imperm's like one of the best hand traps in the format at the minute. It's just good against everything. It's a good 6th card. Like it's just really good. And then the last 3 were 3 draw. The only other card that I would want to replace this with, or even thought about replacing this with, was main deck Lancia, but Drawl is, in my opinion, Drawl's better against Tri Brigade Lyrilisk, and that was the deck I was trying to beat with this deck. As originally I was going to play Tri Brigade Lyrilisk, but then I decided if everyone I knew was playing it and I thought everyone was playing it, then I needed to play something to beat it, and that needed to be something with like a 1 card play plus a bunch of hand traps. So that's all this deck really is. This also has other applications because you can normal summon it and make Almirage, and then it makes your Ecclesias live, so you can like special summon Ecclesia and go into Verte into Phoenix Enforcer, which gives you a lot of follow up on the next turn because obviously you can draw 2 with Celestial, and like you don't just always need to search off Ecclesia because sometimes searching like a Punishment or even searching a Maximus isn't great if you're going blind, because a lot of decks like the Sword Soul decks, or at least some of the Sword Soul decks, we're playing the 3 extra cards in the Mechaburt, Entus and Nova. So blind Maximus is sometimes a bit weird. So sometimes you just want to go Phoenix Enforcer. So draw was really good. I played a lot of birds, so draw was just really good in the main deck. And then the last 2 going second cards is 1 Mystic Mine and 1 Terraforming. Mystic Mine's really good in this deck because you play Phoenix Enforcer, and the decks that it's for, like it either gives you time to just start playing. Some decks obviously will concede to Mystic Mine because they don't have an out, but a lot of decks now, I think most people have an out, so the real reason it's only in here is because it gives you an extra going second card with the Terraforming, and if you're playing against Phantom Knights or Birds, then they end on a link monster that can't be used as link material. So if they have multiple monsters on the field, they can never get down to 1 monster. So if you go Mystic Mine and then summon Phoenix Enforcer, you can just start picking away at their cards. Just using Phoenix Enforcer constantly, and then they can never get down to 1 card. So then you just get set the pace of the game and just keep Phoenix Enforcer in them until you're ready to start playing. And then I made it 1 Duster, which was just a Mystic Mine out. It was just the 40th card. It wasn't great, but it was a Mystic Mine out. It won me 1 game because it was a Mystic Mine out. That was the only time I think I used it. Then 3 Prosperity, which is just like 3 filler cards. Like it's fine. It's usually pretty good. Like you want to draw multiple cards of different engines, so it just ties everything together a little bit. Then for the Aleister package, we have 3 Aleister. Obviously, we still have the Terraforming, and 3 Meltdown, and then 1 Invocation. So you have like 7 Aleisters because of the Terraforming. 1 Invocation is fine. It's just a brick. Like every time you don't have Aleister and you have Invocation, it's just a brick. So I wasn't really scared of this getting impermanence and then being the odds of like you normal summoning this, it getting negated by an effect, and then you having Invocation are just fairly low, and I'd rather just not draw the Invocation when I don't have Aleister. The only other issue is with Lancia, they can obviously chain Lancia to Invocation, and then your Invocation will just be in your graveyard, and you won't be able to get it back. But I play Omega in my extra deck, so if I can get to a Maximus or Nadir Servant, I can just send the Omega and Omega back the Invocation into the deck. And then in any scenario where that doesn't happen, you just try and win with Phoenix Enforcer and Dogmatica cards. The ratios were fine. I wouldn't change anything about the main deck. I think I'd stick to the same 40 cards. Then Dogmatica is 3 Nadir Servant and 3 of these, and then 1 of the other 3. So 3 of the better Ecclesia, 1 Fleur-de-Lis, 1 Maximus, and 1 Punishment. Punishment is really only in here because I sided Aerial, and it's good with Aerial if they like Phoenix Enforcer. If you can bait their Phoenix Enforcer, then set this, and then the Phoenix Enforcer comes back, they'll probably just use it on this because most people are just blinding it. You chain this, send out Cologne, destroy the Phoenix Enforcer, add Aerial. Aerial banishes the Phoenix Enforcer and the 2 materials for Phoenix Enforcer. It usually puts you really far ahead. And it's also having Aerial, punishment into Aerial against Sky Strike is also really good as well. Just like banishing their rays and getting engage and things like that out of the graveyard. And then the 1 Schism, which is like a pseudo Dogmatica card because we don't really play initials. Schism was fine. And then the last 5 cards were 3 Fusion Destiny, 1 Dasher, and 1 Celestial. There's no reason to play Plasma in this deck, so yeah, you just want those 5, and then that's 40 cards. I wouldn't change anything. I think it was fine. If this deck, even this deck got really popular, I don't think I'd main lands here. So extra deck is the 3 Link Monsters and Omega. These all came up multiple times. Omega comes up to game 1 to shuffle back opposing Phoenix Enforcers, Stridetron Monsters, Cobalt Sparrows in the opponent's graveyard, things like that. And then sometimes it comes up to shuffle back your Invocation. Then 1 Raijin, Purgatrio, Ogoides, and 2 Mechaba. I didn't really miss Caliga. There were a couple of games where it would have been a little bit easier to get rid of an opponent's Phoenix Enforcer with the Caliga, but it would only have been there to get rid of the Phoenix Enforcer. So yeah, I think it was fine. Wouldn't change anything. And then 1 Ash Dragon, 1 Phoenix Enforcer, 1 Elder Entity Ents, 1 Construct, 1 Apcalone, and 1 Window, which is all fairly standard, I guess. Some people play 2 Ents and don't play Omega, but I think Omega was just a better card. Then for the side deck, 3 Cosmic Cyclones. It kind of goes in against anything you think might side anti-spell, and then obviously the spell and trap decks like Eldritch and things like that. I sided in against Sword Soul, just because usually they play anti-spell, and if they don't have anti-spell or order, then maybe they have Impermanence, Chalice, Droplets, and Blackout. So there's like a fair few cards you can hit with this going second. I don't side it going first, but it's like decent going second. And then I also sided 2 Token Collector. The reason behind 2 is just because of the other sided cards. That's just how siding patterns worked. I needed a 2 of, because I was only setting out 6 cards or whatever going second. So I needed 2 to go in. So yeah, that was how. There's no other reason than that's why there was 2. In future, I might go to 3 just because it puts a body on board, which obviously makes it a lot easier to make Verte into Phoenix Enforcer. But the only time really that's very relevant, I mean, it is quite relevant most of the time, but I think it's probably just because I got beat by Sword Soul because they had Imperial Order game 1 and 3 in the top 4. So yeah, then 2 Lancia, same as Token Collector. These come in against like Tri-Brigade and Phantom Knights and the Mirror, and I only had a certain amount of sided cards I wanted to take out against those decks because I also wanted to put in 3 Gamma and Driver against those decks. So I only had 6 cards I wanted to take out, so I couldn't side the 3rd Lancia because it would have just done nothing. And then yeah, this card was insane. Like, it should be in every side deck or main deck right now. Like, this is the only thing I would consider maining over. I don't know what. It'd probably be Overdraw, and I'd have to find another card that I didn't want to play, or I'd play fully one, but I'd rather find another card I don't want to play. Yeah, Gamma was really, really, really good. Like Gamma-ring, Warbler, things like that. It's just like taking the monster off the field. It means like they have to just already have like Sparrow plus, like if they opened Warbler Sparrow, they would then need to normal summon the Sparrow, link into the Almirage, and then have Beryl already in hand to continue. And post side, you have 17 hand traps plus Terraforming and Mystic Mines. You have 19 going second cards, which means you're super likely to destroy 2. I can't remember the maths. I did do it before the event, but yeah, I can't remember now. Then the last 4 cards is 1 Aerial, which is just for the punishment. There's a lot of matchups where you just don't want Winder, and yeah, so you don't need Schism, but this gives you something to like hit Phoenix Enforcers out the graveyard, hit Rays and things like that out the graveyard. It's really good in the mirror. In the mirror, I used it to hit a Phoenix Enforcer, Celestial, and his Invocation, and he only played 1 Invocation, so that was huge. You can also use it to banish your own Aleister from the graveyard if you have an Invocation sat in graveyard. So it has like multiple applications. And then the last 3 cards are 3, there can be only 1. Sword Soul, Birds, anything like that going first. Like you play a lot of spellcasters, but they just cannot play if you have this up, so it doesn't matter. And as long as you're playing, you'll have like a warrior, a plant, and something else. So yeah, so that was the deck profile. It was 40 cards main deck, 15 side, 15 extra. I went 8-1-1 in Swiss. Round 1 was Birds. I lost the roll and I won 2-0. Round 2 was Birds. I lost the roll and I won 2-1. Round 3 was Birds. I lost the roll and I won 2-1. Round 4 was Birds. I lost the roll and I won 2-1. Round 5 was my first thing that wasn't Birds, which was Invoked. Oh yeah, I won 2-0. It was. I don't think people were very prepared for the Invoked mirror. I wasn't particularly prepared for it, but like Lanciers were good. I main deck Drawl, like Sided Gammas, things like that. Like, and a lot of the Invoked players I played against mained there can be only 1, which didn't really affect me very much. So yeah, that was. All the Invoked matchups were fairly easy. Round 6 was another Birds. I lost the roll and I won 2-1. Round 7 was another Invoked, where I lost the roll and won 2-0. Round 8 was Pranked, where I won the roll but actually drew. It was the last round of day 1, and it took like, I think game 1 took like 30 minutes, maybe a bit longer. He mined me, and I think he thought he could deck me out, but I had obviously Harpy Feather Duster in my main deck. But it was in like the bottom like 7 cards of my deck, so it just took ages. So I finished day 1 7-1, 7 wins and a tie, so I had to win 1 the next day. And then round 9 I won the first round, which was Invoked, where I won 2-0. And then the last round was irrelevant, but it was Invoked, and yeah, I lost that one. Then top 32 was Sword Soul. I lost the roll and won 2-0. Invoked's a really good. Sword Soul's a really good matchup for Invoked, in my opinion. I don't think it's difficult at all. The only time it is difficult is if they're playing Order or Anti-Spell and they draw one of them. Usually you're like, well, you can take a game to lose into something like that, but you don't usually want to take 2. But I beat him 2-0 because he didn't draw either of those cards either game. Top 16, I won the roll against Drytron, I won 2-0. Top 8 was the Pranky guy I played round 8. And I lost the roll this time, but I won 2-0. So, yeah, that was fine. And then top 4 was Sword Soul, where I lost 1-2. He won the roll, game 1, and just... I think he ended on, like, a Mohian Order. Well, no, I think he actually ended on no monster on field, but Order. But yeah, that, like... I had, like, 5 spells in hand, so I was just like, oh, great. And then I normal summoned an Ecclesia, and he veiled it, so I couldn't get to, like... a second monster ever, so yeah, I couldn't make Verte. And then eventually he drew like a playable card and the game ended. Then game 2, he drawed me turn 1 after I played Terraforming, but other than that he didn't have Order, so he lost. And then game 3 he flipped Order again, and I didn't have a response. And then he had Veiler for my Ecclesia again, so I just lost. And then in the 3rd, 4th playoff, it was against Pierre, my friend, and he was playing Birds, and he won the roll, and then I won 2-1. So, in total, I think I played against 6 Bird decks, and I beat all of them. and I've won the roll against 2, I think that's right. So yeah, the bird matchup's pretty good. Yeah, other than that, sorry for the long deck profile. Yeah, just quick shout outs. Shout out to Team Jobber, best team. All their links and stuff will be in the description down below, so please check that out. And shout out to Omar, Jawad, all of Team Quiche, Raf, Jordan, Vlad, Nadir, Darren, etc. Tim, Brad. I guess I've got to shout them all out because otherwise someone will complain. And yeah, just shout out to all my friends, everyone who supported me. Sorry if I've missed you, but this is like 15 minutes long, so I don't want it to go on much longer. But yeah, shout out to Team Jobber. Looking forward to IRL events coming back. Hopefully Utrecht goes ahead. If not, I'll see everyone in Pasadena. Thanks a lot. I'll try and win next time. Yeah, cheers. Bye.